I have a lot of updates I wanted to provide for you guys. This is coming from the Realtor Risk Management and Consumer Protection Forum, and I'm also giving you some updates on some new forms. I know we don't all like that. There are 16 revised forms and 4 new forms coming in June 2017. These 16 revised forms largely have to do with the arbitration clause. CAR Legal has found that it was basically not favorable to brokers and realtors to include and agree to the arbitration, so they have removed that from many of the areas on the listing agreements and the purchase contracts. Although there still is the ability to have arbitration agreements included, there's an AOA, or Agreement of Arbitration form. So if you still want to do that, you can. And first and foremost, you always listen to the guidance and the policies of your own broker. So the other forms that have been revised are again, this is going to be interesting. For those of you who are in rentals, there is going to be a BBD form, Bed Bug Disclosure. So beginning on July 1st, I know we have an additional language that needs to be included in all your rentals. So if you have rentals, your landlord has a requirement to disclose the notice of or the presence and actually the awareness of bed bugs that may be potentially inside the home. And if there is existing some, you have to, or the landlord, the tenant doesn't have to pay rent. They have to be relocated until you remediate. The other forms, there is a cancellation of lease or rental, CLR. And this form is the cancellation of lease, allows you to basically mutually agree to a cancellation of a lease. This could be during the term, or it could be before you even get into the property. The other form is a notice. We have a notice to buyer to perform and a notice to seller to perform. Now we have a notice to a tenant to perform. And that is going to be form PPN. Okay? So if the tenant doesn't pay their deposit or the security or whatnot prior to moving in, there's a form for that. Additionally, the other form is a water sub-meter form. So if there's basically if there's a water sub-meter and it has issues with the issues or is not calculating the water measurements correctly, the landlord has to give that disclosure. Other areas that were revised, minor areas, so you're going to see the co-listing agent and co-selling agent fields have been updated. So you're going to see more of the areas where you're going to see 2 agents allowed to sign on there. So a lot of the forms have been updated on there. Ryan already talked to you about the AC Freon gas, so be very, very mindful if you have a refrigerator or an air conditioning system that has the limited supply of Freon, the rising cost there's a limited supply, so the cost is going to rise. From a risk management perspective, RESPA laws, just want to give you a reminder about rebates and referral fees. The BRE is cracking down on some of this stuff, so the SFR, just to define what falls under the RESPA laws, it's single family residence, 1 to 4 units, owner occupied with a mortgage. So cash transactions don't apply. The referrals are limited, and you have to be very, very cautious on that if you're ever doing on these things. So I would talk to your broker to get you an update up to speed on that. But I know some of the people up here probably are doing what's called an indirect benefit, and you've maybe been taught, oh, let me go ahead and donate to a charity of your choice in your name. And I guess CAR Legal has found that if you are doing a charity, even though it's not directly to the client, and maybe it's going to a charity, they did see that this is an indirect benefit and does fall under RESPA guidelines and may be in violation. Be very cautious on that. Ryan talked to you about the marijuana spreadness. It is legal in California. Be cautious on if you have that thing, especially if there's a lot of rentals are going on with people trying to rent out properties and growing and cultivating this plant. For those that are doing it or not, whatever it is, it has to be concealed. It cannot be visible from the street. It should be indoors or in covering. So if that's going on, also a lot of cities will have new policies in place. So if there's marijuana going on in that city and the city wants to ban it, they have the ability to restrict sales, to restrict it from the, they're not going to be able to restrict usage, but they're going to be able to restrict sales. The other thing is I have to remind you is the AVID. All of us in agents have what's called a requirement for single family 1 to 4 units to do an agent visual inspection. Each agent, I have to remind you, not if the other agent does it, does not mean that it does not preclude you from doing your own. So you have a requirement to review, everything on the disclosures. You want to be able to review everything on the contracts and point anything out. That AVID does give you the ability to, if your seller or the other party fails to reveal or share any information, you can save that by getting that disclosure on your AVID as well too. So the AVID is a great tool for you to protect yourself. When you're describing defects on the property, be very cautious on descriptive adjectives. So what I mean by that is if you say, oh, there's a minor crack or a small leak in the toilet, in the plumbing, those are descriptive, but it could be minor to you. Maybe you're a handyman, you can fix it real quick, but it could be a huge problem to maybe someone else, or maybe someone's elderly who's really troublesome for them. So be descriptive because those kind of languages could get you in trouble. Whenever you have an agreement with somebody, let's say you reach an agreement with another party or with your client, or maybe your client says, oh, I can't make it to the final walkthrough, then have a reminder email sent out. So what you want to do is when you're preparing your contract, you're preparing your paperwork, you have to always make sure that it's being prepared for as if it was going to court. If you have that kind of mindset and attitude, you will be protected because you're always preparing the paperwork to the best of your knowledge. And with that, when you're doing the AVID, or if you come to an agreement with somebody and whatnot, that they can't make it to a showing, maybe they don't know the language and they didn't understand something, have something written, emailed back to them, giving them a courtesy reminder of what happened, of the events that occurred. I'm sorry, Mr. or Mrs. Client, you said you didn't understand this, you wanted to get an interpreter to read this, so then please take another moment to do to review it or whatnot. And lastly, I just want to remind you, the CAR hotline has a great tool and resource for all of us to use. This is the CAR legal hotline and also the finance hotline. Both of these areas are very great tools and free for you to use. I want to remind you that it's a free resource. You can talk to somebody, you got issues going on in a transaction, the legal area will help. For finance reasons, I have heard that if you have a problem with the bank or the mortgage or the lender, they have the ability to come in, step in and talk to the major institutions and help get your deal going or expedited if the bank is holding it up. So then that concludes my report. Thank you for that, and have a good Wednesday.
Thank you, Kelvin. And all of this information, great job, Kelvin. And all of this information, if you're looking for the phone numbers and all of that stuff that everybody's just shared, it will be on the AAR website. And so you can get any information you need and then some. Thanks so much for sharing, you guys. They take a lot of time to go out and bring all this stuff back to you.